All right, welcome to Yin Yoga. Make sure we've got some gear tonight. Let's look for blocks, strap. Let's go strap tonight. If you have something to raise or elevate the hips with, I'm going to use a bolster. And we're going to come into the usual suspects, knees to navel, all 360 degrees, thighs, outer hips, IT band, sciatic area. And one thing that we notice about Yin Yoga is it's a cool yoga. We come into the poses with a coolness. We hold the poses for long periods of time, hydrating the fascia. But sometimes it's nice also to get a little bit of movement in the body before we start, just to get a little bit of blood flow to warm up the body, particularly if we're in a colder climate and it's a little creaky and sticky, or you've just woken up. So we're going to do this movement on our backs. So come onto your back and bring your bolster underneath your hips. Elevate the hips. Let the body reorient here. So we're just tuning in. How does the body feel in this position? And then bring up the right knee and hug the right knee in towards the ribs. Extend the left leg. So a little squeeze, a little extension through the left leg, and then switch. Squeeze the left knee, extend the right. Exhale, switch. Squeeze and extend. Exhale, switch. Now do 5 more of those in your own time. Extend, crunch, and switch. So it's a moderate speed of movement, just working the knee joint, the ankle joint, the hip joint. And these are critical joints for tonight's class. So we're getting the movement in to warm up that muscle area of the legs, the thighs, the low back. And then pause and bring both knees in towards the ribs. Squeeze, rotate the ankles in one direction. And then the other direction. And then pause, extend both legs to the air, raise up the arms, and rotate the feet and the hands. So there's a little intercommunication between the end points there. Other direction. And then grab the left leg with your hands behind the hamstring. If you don't quite reach that left leg, put a strap around it and pull on the strap. And then lower the right leg down to the ground, keeping it straight. And then switch. Lower the left and pull on the right hamstring so we get that nice stretch behind the back of the legs. Switch. 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 And three or four more in your own time. And then bring the limbs up again. This time, drop the left foot down and the right hand down, so you create a little diagonal dropping of the limbs. The left hand and the right foot stay up, and then switch. So a little left brain warming up here, left-right brain combo. Switch, and away you go. This is a little bit of core activation as well, but it just gives you that movement in the joints, just to warm them up, oil them up. And then bring the limbs up nice and high once again. Do the splits with the legs. And then bring them back together. Do the splits with the arms. Bring them back together. Legs, arms. Legs, arms. Legs, arms. Legs, arms, legs, and grab the knees, bring the left ankle over the right and turn the knees in a circle. So just getting into the low back through a little bit of circular movement, turning the knees, hands turning the knees. First in one direction, and then pause, change the cross, opposite ankle on top, and turn in the other direction. Pause and bring the feet parallel, shins parallel to the earth, knees bent 90 degrees. Bring the hands out 90 degrees and just sway, windshield wiper the knees side to side. So this really starts to hit the outer hips, the low back, getting a little bit of movement. And the next time the knees come to center, drop the feet, lift the hips and remove the bolster. And let's come into this left leg, left hip, left low back. Take your strap over the left foot. Anchor the foot with the strap. You might even warm up the bottom of the foot with a little massage here, a little flossing with the strap. Flossing the bottom of the foot. Straighten the right leg out. Curl the toes back. Now lower the foot down towards the floor and feel the calf muscles stretch here. Toes curled back. Really feel that in the calf muscle. Now we're going to do a few leg raises here. So the strap is pulling the leg up. You don't have to use the leg, but you can pull it up to a delicious stretch in the hamstring and then lower down. Lift up. Toes curled back. Feel the hamstring. Lower down. This should be starting to send some movement of blood into the thighs and the low back. Let's do 2 more lifts and lowers. There's 1. And there's 2. Now hold that left foot up and let's just hang out here for a bit. Let's hit the back of that hamstring, toes curled back. And as you hold that foot with the strap, the hands are going to start to pull on the strap in such a way that you create a little circle with the bottom of the foot. So if the bottom of the foot was on the ceiling, it would be drawing a little circle. You keep the leg straight, you keep the toes curled back, and you're just drawing a little circle. And as you draw the circle in different parts of the orbit, you're going to feel different sensations down through the sciatic area, the IT band area, particularly, and the hamstring, of course. Now my circle's probably got a radius of about 6 inches. And I'm going to start to grow the circle a little bigger. The goal here is to keep that left leg straight, don't bend the knee. So you really feel this in that left leg, that left thigh. Now the next time that left leg comes back to center, take both ends of the strap into the right hand. So your left hand is free. It can come out to the side body. Now there's a temptation here to want to lift the left hip. Let's keep the left hip grounded for now. And as the right hand pulls the foot back towards the head, it starts to cross over the midline of the body. And this is going to light up that left leg considerably without having to go that far. So you just want lots of sensation, the leg straight, the low back grounded, the left hip grounded, left hand grounded. So the left side of the body is grounded as you start to bring that left leg a little bit over the center line of the body. Right through the sciatic area. You're going to feel this. Ooh, I'm feeling it already. And I'm not even close to over the center line of the body, but I'm feeling it. That looks good. Every now and then, like you've put a fishing line into the water, just give it a little pull over the center line of the body and feel the sensation and notice if anything is shifted. Remember, there'll be a lot of sensation with a small amount of movement, so you're adjusting here. It's like flying an aeroplane. You keep getting a little bit off course, too much sensation, back off a little bit. Not enough sensation, bring it back over. So just keep working that and staying at the, I'm going to call it tolerable limit. Normally I'd say delicious discomfort, but for me this is not, I wouldn't call it delicious, but it's tolerable. Now that you've established that stretch, this is where you push down on the right hip and you lift the left hip on the up and you roll onto the right hip and cross that straight leg over towards the right side of the body. So you're really bringing it over now, left hip elevated, keep the left hand, left shoulder grounded. So right through that sciatic area, IT band area is getting a lot of attention right now. Push out through the left heel for 3, 2, and then slowly bring up. Change hands. Left hand has the strap. We're going to change the orientation of the stretch, firstly by bringing up the right knee to the ribs and squeezing the right knee into the ribs. Squeeze the right knee in. You might be able to pull that left foot back a little more towards the head. Carefully abduct the left leg to the left and the right knee to the right. So you feel the splits here. As you feel the splits, there's a temptation to point the foot a little bit, so drive out through the left heel. So this time we're hitting the inside thigh on the left leg particularly, and we keep the heel bone driving out as we do this variation of half dragonfly on the back. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Bringing back the legs. Let the right foot drift back to the mat. Release the strap from the left foot. Let's do a little ankle work while that left leg is still in the air. Rotate the ankle. Other way. Grab the back of the left hamstring. And let's do a hinge flop here. Flop the shin down, just let it flop. And kick it straight. 1. Flop the shin. 2. Kick it straight. 2. Do 5 more in your own time. Just working some blood through that left leg, keeping the muscle warm after a lot of work, a lot of stretch in that left side. The next time you flop, gently straighten the right leg out and drop the left knee out to the side, left foot against the right leg into tree pose. Let's just give that left hip, left low back time to digest what happened. Exhale the head to the right and reach the right arm back over behind you so you've got a nice rib stretch here. In fact, bring both hands over the head and have your right hand grab the left wrist. So you feel the upper body getting an opening while the left hip recovers from that work. Bring the head back to neutral and extend the left leg and release the arms. Let the arms drift back over. And draw a line down the left side, down the middle of the body. And feel the contrast between left and right sides right now. Let's grab the strap again and hook up that right foot. We'll start with a little flossing. Warm up the fascia. Put some stress on the fascia. Just notice how that right foot feels. And then position your strap right where the ball of the foot meets the arch. Curl the toes back. Feel that stretch in the posterior chain of the right leg. And just before we start lowering and lifting, see if you can find your Goldilocks point on this side. How far back do you feel? Ah, there it is. There's the ideal stretch. Not too much sensation, not too little, just right. That's your benchmark. All right, lowering that right leg down. Toes curled back, really feel that calf muscle stretch. And then lifting up. Lowering down and lifting up in your own time. Just feeling that range of motion. Letting the joint lubricate through movement. The hip joint up and down. The next time you come up, pause. So you've got your Goldilocks point here. Toes curled back. And once again, try little micro movements, release the tension. And if ever you release the tension, always remember to curl the toes back more. And you'll notice how the foot falls into this default of pointing rather than flexing. Take both hands of the strap into the left hand. And start your circles. Start small circles, so it's really a spiral, I guess. My first circles are only a couple of inches in diameter, and then they grow out from there. And straight away I can feel this in that right sciatic, right IT band area. Every time that foot circles over the midline of the body, it lights up that leg. Keep those toes curled back. Start to explore bigger circles and just notice. Whew. All right, then find your position and bring the right hand out to the right, shoulder down. Keep the right side of the body grounded. Hip, back, shoulder. And then start to explore crossing over the midline of the body. There'll be a temptation to hike up the right hip. Keep pushing the right hip down away from the head. So you keep the hips square, and that should give you plenty to work with. Just those little micro movements. And I notice on this leg, I have a lot more range of motion before the sensation kicks in. So left leg much tighter for me. This right leg has more sway over the body. It looks good. So once again, deliciousness might be out the window for some of us. Definitely for me, I'm not savoring this one. But it's tolerable. I know it's doing me good. It's like taking my medicine. Now squeeze the left glute and lift the right hip up. So I'm going to roll onto my left hip And as I do, I bring that right leg over to the left side, keeping the right arm grounded, right shoulder grounded, but now definitely feeling that in a new way through the sciatic area and the IT band area for sure. Whew. You can turn the head to the left if you like. And then slowly come back. Slowly come back. Change hands. So right hand secures the strap, bringing the foot back towards the head. And then pick up the left knee and hug the left knee in. Now, as you squeeze the left knee in, you'll feel the low back roll out. You'll feel the low back get a little more traction here. Now, when the low back gets traction like that, it might be an opportunity to pull that right foot back more. It may not, but you might notice, oh yeah, I can pull it back a little more as I squeeze that left knee. So your low back is really appreciating that little bit of pullback. And then traction out sideways, adductor opening that right leg out, left knee out, and keeping the internal thigh on the right side, getting the main benefit from this abductor or adductor stretch. Five more breaths here. And then slowly bring the knees back, releasing the left foot to the floor. Keep the right leg extended as you remove the strap. Grab that right hamstring and let the shin flop. Whew. Let's do 5 to 10 kicks here and flops. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Release the right foot to the mat and let the whole body relax. And let's come into lumbar twist before we come up off the back. Left knee over right, floppy shin. Notice how your low back is feeling right now. All right, and then pause, press down with the right foot and lift the hips into the air and roll onto your right hip and let the knees come over to the right. Boy, I can feel I got a bunch of adjustments there, right up my spine. Click, 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 click. All right. All right, so I'm feeling that lumbar twist as a delicious one for me after all that work we did preparing for the twist. Left hand reaches over the head, nice big rib stretch. Five more breaths if you can. And then slowly unwind. Come onto your back. Uncross the leg. Check in with the low back here. Change the cross of the knee, floppy shin. Exhale and stop. Push down with the left foot, elevate the hips, roll onto the left hip. Roll the knees to the left. You can reach back with the right arm. 5 more breaths, and in these last 5 breaths, reach a little further with the right arm. And then exhale, release. Roll onto your left side into a little ball, curl up. And wait for the lingering echo to leave the body. So you just wait till the sensations reduce. And then make your way up onto all fours, facing the top of your mat. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips, a little cat and cow. So once again, getting a little movement to soften up the spine after all that time on the back. The next time you come into tabletop pause, and just turn the head left and right. Notice how the neck feels. Let's prepare for deer pose. Bring the hands forward about 3 inches. Slide the right knee into the right wrist. Bring the right foot underneath your left hip. Now walk your left foot back until you get a really delicious stretch in the left hip flexor. So the more you extend that left leg back, the more you'll feel that. And that will tighten up on the right thigh. And then lean into that right thigh and lean onto your right elbow. So you've got all the weight now on that right side. Bend the back knee and push that right foot until you see the shin parallel to the top of your mat. Scoop the flesh from the right side of the belly out of the way. Bring the elbow forward. And if you can manage, bring the left elbow onto the ground as well. Now, if you can't, you can bring a block under the left elbow. So you've got yourself in this kind of half sphinx deer pose. If you'd like to, take a block and let the head rest on a block. That can be nice while you hang out here. We're going to be here for a little while. So block or no block. Now this is where I want you to bring all your yin training in. I want you to really focus your attention in that right thigh. And when I say thigh, I mean the adductor, abductor, glute, hamstring, quadricep, and also into your right low back. So from the knee to the navel on the right side. Now, most of you know where we're going to go from here. From here, we start to creep the hands away from the head. So they become our antlers. The further those arms walk out, the straighter the arms become, the more weight pours down onto that right thigh. And keep the head dangling. So there's no pressure on the neck here. This is going to make it challenging to breathe because as we breathe in, the ribs expand into the thigh. So we have to create a discipline here with the breath. Not to panic, but to draw deep, even breaths in here, strengthening the breathing muscles. And for those who are at their limit, you might creep out a little further as you exhale on each exhale, just to see if your limit was the limit. Or could you go a little further? Now with all this weight pressing down on the IT band, this is almost like a self-myofascial release for the IT band onto your mat. So that's what we want. Now let's walk the hands back slowly. Take your time. No rush as you come back and maybe prop onto that right elbow again. And then straighten the arms as you come up a little higher. And just notice how your head feels. Sometimes the head can feel a little lightheaded here. Now bend the elbows a little bit and spring off that right hand to lift the right hip up, coming into your more traditional pigeon shape. So the right hip is now in a different orientation. It's no longer grounded on the mat. So just holding this in between transition of pigeon. And then curl the toes of the left foot so you can slide that right leg back. Come onto all fours, and just for a moment, do some mule kicks here. Pick up that right leg and heel kick out and bend. Heel kick out and bend. Just some mule kicks. Kick with the heel and bend. Kick with the heel and bend. For 5 more, 4 more, 3 more, 2 more, and come back to tabletop, cat and cow. Come back to tabletop, left and right turn of the head. See how the neck's doing. And now let's prepare for the other side. Slide left knee to left wrist. Sidle the left foot over towards the right thigh. Walk your right knee back and back until you get a delicious sense in your left thigh this time. Right hip flexor. And then just fall onto your left elbow, left thigh. And push that left shin nice and perpendicular to the top of the mat. You might keep a block handy if you liked supporting the head. Let's scoop the flesh from the left side of the belly and bring the torso's weight down, bearing down onto that left leg. So the left IT band is getting that nice compression against the floor. Once again, you can prop your head up if you like that. If your right elbow doesn't reach the ground, bring it onto a block. And now we come into the patience game. Waiting for the sensations. Waiting for that moment where your body says, this feels good. Controlling the breath. Relaxing the head, neck. The back knee is soft, bent on that right leg. And now start to explore bringing the elbows out a little wider and creeping the hands away. Bring the antlers out, and that will bring the head down. So you feel a stretch growing. Not just, you feel more compression in the left IT band on the left thigh, and the weight of the torso pressing down into the inside thigh. But you'll also feel the rib cage expanding and stretching as you walk the hands up. When you think you've found your limit, come back to your breath. And just see with each exhale, can you go a little further or not? Was your limit just an idea? Or is there a little more that you can creep out? 5 more breaths here. Once again, use the hands to walk back until the left elbow takes the weight. Reorient the head, and then you can straighten the left arm. Spring off the left hand and lift the left hip, coming into your classic pigeon transition, pointing the toes of the right foot. Curl the toes of the right foot and bring the right knee forward as you take that left leg back. A little cat and cow here. And then give yourself half a dozen mule kicks. Lift that left leg back and kick and kick. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Come down onto your belly, crocodile pose. Stack the hands, flare the elbows, Charlie Chaplin feet. Let's do some hamstring curls while we're here. Just bend the knees, bring both heels back towards the buttocks, flex the toes back towards the shin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Prop the elbows under the shoulders into Sphinx. Hands can reach the upper arms. Relax the shoulders. Now, as you relax the shoulders, you'll feel the low back. There's like a sinkhole in the low back. The low back kind of melts down into the earth. Try to keep the hip flexors relaxed and stretched. Toes point. Let's take care of the neck. Infinity sign with the tip of the nose. For those who are into eye exercises, you can cross your eyes and look at the tip of the nose. And let's do 2 infinity signs in each direction. And then 2 figure 8s in each direction. Just notice how your neck is. Now, if you're feeling at your edge here with the hip flexors, you can remain here or come back to crocodile. Otherwise, prepare for seal pose. Bring the elbows out an inch or so and bring the hands out to the edges of the mat. Walk your elbows in a little closer to the ribs. So you've got Sphinx pose with Charlie Chaplin feet. Now press down through the heel palms and extend the arms, straighten the arms. And once again, feel that relaxation in the shoulders, so you feel the sinking into the low back and the stretch in the hip flexors. Let's turn the head left and right. Make sure the neck is not jamming up here. And then exhale, release. Come onto your back into pentacle pose. Arms outstretched, palms to heaven, legs wide. Let go of your practice. Let go of the analyzing mind. Relax the spine. Let the spine start to melt. And feel the spine melting. The neck, feel the neck melting. Feel the neck melting. So much that the lower jaw is agape. The lower jaw is just dangling. The lips are separate. And if the back of your soft palate was transparent, you'd see your spine through the neck melting. So your head is having a meltdown, starting with the spine. The brain is melting down. The back of the skull is melting down. From the shoulders up, you've become a puddle. There is no rigid substance left. The bones gone. Check in with yourself. Give yourself permission to stay in Shavasana as long as you want. Even if you hear instructions for those of us transitioning, feel free. to stay. If you're transitioning, bend the knees and stand the feet on the mat and clasp the hands under the back of your head. Exhale, lift the head off the floor and wrap the arms around the skull and squeeze the skull. Squeeze the knees as well. Squeeze the knees together, squeeze the elbows into the forehead and into the sides of the skull, and then lift the back of the skull up. Let's traction out that neck while it's melted. Lengthen it out while it's warm. Plenty of length. Now pick the feet up off the floor and roll onto your side body, resting the head. Release the top hand and slowly sit up. Find a comfortable seat. And bring your attention from the kneecaps all the way up to your navel. Front, back, sides, almost like the shape of a skirt. And just appreciate this part of the body for a moment, for all the work it does, all the support it gives us. Just notice how it feels at the end of practice. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Namaste. Thank you, folks.